That's the soul speaking and saying, don't put me in a box. Don't compartmentalize me. Don't tell me what I have to be. Don't do that to me. The theme song of the soul was sung by Roy Rogers and Bing Crosby. Oh, give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Let me ride through the wide open spaces that I love. Don't fence me in. Don't put a fence around me. There's something inside of me that is infinite. It wants to expand. If it's finite, that means it stops someplace. The part of you that's listening to this right now, what is that? What is that invisibleness within you? Certainly you're not this body. It's just dust. Getting that and understanding that. You know, not only did I write this entire book, 58 chapters, with each one having a section called I Can See Clearly Now, why I was being divinely guided to do this. I was driving down the Long Island Expressway in 1976, and I was living out in Huntington and teaching at St. John's University. I was a professor there, and I was about to be granted tenure, which scared the hell out of me because it means like you're going to be here the rest of your life. You know, you're not going to go anywhere else now that you got a job for life. That was something that inside I just couldn't handle. And I had just written this book, Your Erroneous Zones, and something just came over me. Honestly, it just came over me. And I pulled off on the Long Island Express. I just sat there. I was like, trying to catch my breath. And I realized, oh my God, if I go in there and get tenure, I'm going to be stuck here. This is where I'm going to be. I've already done this. I've been doing it for 6 years. I got off back onto the Long Island Expressway, which is L-I-E, lie. And I didn't want to live that lie. And I went into the dean's office, Sarah Fassenmeyer, and I said, Dr. Fassenmeyer, I'm sorry. I said, but I don't want tenure. I'm resigning. This is my last semester. I'm going to take Your Erroneous Zones out across the country and talk about it myself. And it was a moment. It was like, I call them quantum moments, divine guidance. See, these are rungs on the ladder. The rungs on the ladder are things like willingness and so on. And so many of those things have taken place in my life. And they're taking place in your lives all the time. If I were to sit down and interview any of you and just ask you to pull out of, what is it that made you feel good and what did you do about it? Were you meant to be a great artist and didn't pick up the brush? Were you meant to be a great writer and didn't sit down and do it? Are you fulfilling somebody else's idea of what your life ought to be? Because I can remember doing those kind of taking those. There's like, what are you willing to do? How determined are you to make it happen? How much fear do you have inside of you? Because fear isn't just, oh, I'm afraid to die. Fear is like these little tiny things that we do to ourselves all day long. Like, why do you drive the speed limit? Do you drive the speed limit because you're afraid you're going to get a ticket, or do you drive it because it's the safe thing to do and because you love the people on there and you want to be safe? I mean, fear is like all over the place. Are you afraid of failing? Are you afraid of disappointing somebody? Is this not going to look good on me? Am I too fat? It's like fear. And it's like these tiny little things and endless numbers of these, and they begin to coagulate, and then they become bigger and bigger, and they make us they make us automatons. They don't allow us to fulfill our destiny. And you won't get to a place where you can start to see really clearly now that being fearless is a very important part of it. Not only, ladies and gentlemen, did I write this other book and have it and do a public television special on it, and spent 5 months, morning, noon, and night, and my kids will tell you they couldn't get me away from it. It was just such a calling. It was like I had to do it. Because, this thing that I wrote out this morning, if there is intelligence behind life, and there's every reason to believe that there is, and must be, then all of that intelligence is innate in every creation of that intelligence. How could it not be? If you came from that, it must be within you. And all you've done is taken on an ego, which means you've edged God out, E-G-O, and taken on this ego, which is a false idea that who you are is what you do and what you accomplish and what other people think about you and your separation from it if you let go of that ego. Not only did I write that book, which isn't even published yet, it's published in Australia, because I was down there and we brought it out a little early in a paperback down there, but it'll be out in a few months. I'm already writing another book. It's so weird, this calling. What I'm saying is you've got to listen and be fearless and not listen to anybody else's voices. You've got to listen to that still, quiet, passive voice within you that says, this is what makes you feel good. This is what's right. You've got to take the chance.
I said that I would like to talk about the 3 levels of consciousness, A being individual consciousness or ego consciousness. And I said that there are 2 people inside each and every one of us. The first one is the ego. The second person inside each and every one of us is what I call the sacred or the higher self. And this sacred or higher self really doesn't care whether we win or lose or how much we get or who we're better than or how much we have. It's not interested in that. This part of us that lives in every single one of us only wants one thing. It wants us to be at peace. At peace. And it wants to choose peace. As it says in the Course in Miracles, I can choose peace rather than this. I remind myself that every day when I drive my children to school in the morning and they're fighting over who called shotgun and who gets to sit in the front and who gets to push the buttons and who listens to the rap music and who's daddy's my turn this time, and they're going back and forth, and I just remind them, I can choose peace rather than this. And I'll say, look out or I'm going to push my button. And they say, okay. They don't want to hear that crappy music or whatever. Right? The ability to choose peace. One of the selections that was most profound in my life that I wrote an essay about for 60 Days to Enlightenment in Wisdom of the Ages was from Rabindranath Tagore, the great Indian poet, from a selection called the Gitanjali, which won the Nobel Prize for Poetry and Literature in 1927. He said, I went out alone on my way to my tryst, but who is this me in the dark? I step aside to avoid his presence, but I escape him not. He makes the dust rise from the earth with his swagger. He adds his loud voice to every word I utter. He is my own little self, my Lord. He knows no shame, but I am ashamed to come to thy door in his company. The ego just wants to be right. The higher self wants to be kind, wants to be at peace. And if you can just begin to shift that, just ask yourself, as what I'm about to say, I always tell people this in counseling groups and so on, that there are 4 words, that if you learn these 4 words, they'll eliminate all conflict in all of your relationships. These 4 words are, you're right about that. No matter what it is somebody says to you, you give them that. You're right about that. Someone says, you know, you're really a jerk. So, you know, you're right about that. Because that doesn't make somebody right. She'll say something to me, you know, you were supposed to be home at 7:15 and it's now 6:30. There was a time when I used to say, wait a minute, you're not my mother. I don't have to explain to you when I come home. I'm the one that's out working, and who do you think buys all these, you know, there was all that ego stuff that was a part of my life. You've all heard those before, right? Now I just simply say, you know, honey, she said, don't hold those 4 fingers up. I hate it when you do that. Now I notice she holds the 4 fingers up, but she's doing it one at a time. She's going like, you know. But it's the idea that just as you're about to respond to somebody, instead of saying, well, I need to be right and I need to prove myself, I'm just going to stop. I am no longer. And every single person that operates at these higher levels that I'm describing here tonight, that I've known, they have no need to be in charge, to be right, to be dominant, to be they allow themselves to realize, as the story of Buddha when he had someone following him around for 3 days, and all they ever did was criticize him and find fault with him all the time. Everything he said, everything he did, they found, and always what would come out of him would be this peace and this love. And finally, after 3 days, the man who was criticizing him said, "I don't understand. I've done nothing but insult you for 3 days and make a fool of you, and you always respond with kindness and love." He said, how can you do that?" And the Buddha said these magical words: "When someone offers you a gift and you don't accept that gift, to whom does the gift belong?" So if someone offers you a gift of their anger, their hatred, their insults, but you don't accept it, who owns the gift? And why would you go around being upset about something that belongs to someone else? It's not yours in the first place. That's a higher level of awareness. That's being able to choose peace.
What follows are 4 ways of thinking that can prevent you from reaching for and connecting to the universal creative spirit of intention. First, thinking about what's missing in your life. To match up with intention, you first have to catch yourself in the moment that you're thinking about what's missing, and then shift to intention. Not what I find missing in my life, but to what I absolutely intend to manifest and attract into my life, with no doubts, no waffling, and no explaining. Here are some suggestions I'm going to offer you to help you to break the habit of focusing your thoughts on what's missing. Play a version of the match game and match up with the all-creating force. Here's a no match. I don't have enough money. Here's a match. I intend to attract unlimited abundance into my life. Here's a no match. My partner is grouchy and boring. Here's a match. I intend to focus my thoughts on what I love about my partner. Here's a no match. I'm not as attractive as I'd like to be. Here's a match. I'm perfect in the eyes of God, a divine manifestation of the process of creation. This isn't a game of empty affirmations. It's a way of matching yourself to the power of intention and recognizing that what you think about is what expands. If you spend your time thinking about what's missing, then that's what expands in your life. Monitor your inner dialogue and match your thoughts to what you want and intend to create. Here's a second way of thinking. Thinking about the circumstances of your life. If you don't like some of the circumstances of your life, by all means, don't think about them. This may sound like a paradox to you. In this match game, you want to match up with the spirit of creation. You must train your imagination, which is the universal mind running through you, to shift from what you don't want to what you do want. All of that mental energy you spend complaining about what is, to anyone who will listen, is a magnet for attracting more of it into your life. You, and only you, can overcome this impediment because you've put it on your path to intention. Simply change your inner speech to what you intend the new circumstances of your life to become. Practice thinking from the end by playing the match game and by realigning yourself with the field of intention. Here's a few examples of a no match versus a match for what is inner dialogue about the circumstances of your life. No match. I dislike the work I'm doing and the fact that I'm not appreciated. Match. I'll act upon my inner intuitive impulses to create the work or job of my dreams. No match. I hate the fact that I'm sick so often and always seem to be getting colds. Match. I am divine health. I intend to act in healthy ways and attract the power to strengthen my immune system in every way I can. See, you must learn to assume responsibility for the circumstances of your life without any accompanying guilt. The circumstances of your life aren't the way they are because of karmic debt or because you're being punished. The circumstances of your life, including your health, are yours. Somehow they showed up in your life, so just assume that you participated in all of it. Your inner speech is uniquely your own creation, and it's responsible for attracting more of the circumstances that you don't want. Link up with intention. Use your inner speech to stay focused on what you intend to create, and you'll find yourself regaining the power of your source. 3, another way of thinking is thinking about what always has been, which is an obstacle. When your inner speech focuses on the way things have always been, you act upon your thoughts of what's always been, and the universal all-creating force continues to deliver what always has been. Why? Because your imagination is a part of that which imagined you into existence. It's the force of creation, and you're using it to work against you with your inner speech. Imagine the absolute spirit thinking like this: I can't create life anymore because things haven't worked for me in the past. There have been so many mistakes in the past, and I can't stop thinking about them. How much creating do you think would occur if spirit imagined in this way? How can you possibly connect to the power of intention if your thoughts, which are responsible for your intending, focus on all that's gone before you, which you abhor? The answer is obvious, and so is the solution. Make a shift and catch yourself when you're focusing on what always has been, and move your inner speech to what you intend to manifest. You'll get points in this match game by being on the same team as the absolute spirit. Here's a no match. We've always fought in this relationship. Here's a match. I'll work at being peaceful and not allowing anyone to bring me down. Here's a no match. My children have never shown me any respect. Here's a match. I intend to teach my children to respect all of life, and I'll treat them in the same way. The match items reflect a rapport with the originating spirit. The no-match statements represent interference that you've constructed to keep you from matching up with intention. Any thought that takes you backward is an impediment to manifesting desires. The highest functioning people understand that if you don't have a story, you don't have to live up to it. So get rid of any parts of your story that keep you focused on what always has been. And finally, a fourth way of thinking that's an obstacle to connecting to intention is this: thinking about what they want for you. There's probably a long list of people, most of them relatives, who have strong ideas about what you should be doing, how you should be thinking and worshiping, where you should be living, how you should be scheduling your life, and how much of your time you should be spending with them, especially on special occasions and holidays. Our definition of friendship, thankfully, excludes the manipulation and guilt that we so often put up with in our families. Practice catching yourself when you have a thought of what others want for you, and ask yourself, does this expectation match up with my own? If not, simply laugh at the absurdity of being upset or frustrated over the expectations of others about how you should be running your life. This is a way to match up and become impervious to the criticisms of others, and simultaneously put a stop to the insidious practice of continuing to attract into your life something you don't want. Here's a few match, no match opportunities to observe here. A no match. I'm so annoyed with my family, they just don't understand me, and they never have. Match. I love my family. They don't see things my way, but I don't expect them to. Here's a no match. I make myself sick trying to please everyone. Here's a match. I'm on purpose and doing what I signed up to do in this lifetime. Here's a no match. I feel so unappreciated by those I serve that it sometimes makes me cry. Here's a match. I do what I do because it's my purpose, and my destiny is to do so. My sister-in-law, Marilyn, was driving on the Lodge Freeway in Detroit with her husband, my brother, and their 3 children in the back seat. Now, she is a hardcore, linear, left-brain skeptic. I mean, you had to show me. Otherwise, it doesn't exist for her. Medicine was her model. Anything that has to do with the mind, very skeptical. This car jumped the guardrail on the other side, on the southbound lane, and landed right in her face at 60 miles an hour. She saw the wheels coming and land right there. Every bone in her face was broken. Her kidneys were punctured. She had internal bleeding and was in intensive care for 13 weeks. They took her into the hospital unconscious. And no one thought that she was going to survive the night. She was really in bad shape. And they performed surgery on her for 14 hours. And there was a team of surgeons, 6 of them. And they were talking during the surgery. As you can imagine, for 14 hours you would be talking. My sister-in-law reported to me in 1971, when I was 31 years old, and just sort of starting on this path, that she watched the entire surgery. She said, Wayne, you're the only person, you're the only weird one in the family. All right? And you're weird enough to believe this, you know. So anyway, Marilyn said to me, Wayne, she said, what happened is that I left my body. And she said, I went up to the corner of the room. I was surrounded by this light, and I was in the presence of God. It was like a consciousness. It was like, I can't describe it because it doesn't have boundaries. It didn't have form, but it was a magnificent light. And I was there, and there was this tunnel. And I could have gone through this tunnel, and I had the choice, and it was so peaceful, and it felt so good. It was the most blissful I've ever been in my life. And she said, and I watched the surgeons performing on me, and I watched them working on my body, knowing that that wasn't me. When she came out of it after 14 hours of surgery, there were two of the surgeons, they were voting on whether they should continue this or not, or whether they should just pull the plug. She had very little heartbeat at all, and she was so badly punctured internally, and her bleeding was so bad, and there was infection and so on, that they just didn't think she would, and if she did survive, they thought it was. So two of them were saying, let's just give up on this, you know, and go on to other people. The four doctors prevailed, who said that we really believe that we can save this person. And Marilyn then made it, she had three little children, my two nephews and one niece were in the backseat. They were just little children at the time, 2, 4, and 5. And Marilyn decided that she could re-enter, even though it was painful and didn't want to do it. She was given, it's like given the choice. And she went back. And when she came out of it, she told the surgeons which ones had said, let's give up on it, and which ones had said, let's stay with it. And she had gave them word for word what they had said in this event. And she said it was at that time that I became really, truly aware. And she said since then, she has gotten to meet some of what they call NDEers, near-death experiences. And that everybody who has this near-death experience, Raymond Moody writes about it, has the same thing to report. And that is that when they come back, and they do it reluctantly, they have what we call the big picture. And since then, I mean, you wouldn't believe my sister-in-law. She is the calmest, most loving, easiest going. You can't get to her. You can't get to her. She has an inner candle flame that never flickers, though the worst goes before her. And the worst is my brother. And he goes before her all the time. And he's very linear. He's an insurance, he's a wonderful, loving, beautiful person. All of his stuff is motivated out of caring and concern. He wants to always, but he wants to do so damn much that it becomes like, all right, enough, I got the map, all right, yeah, but do you know which turn to make? Yeah, I know. And it's half an hour of that kind of, and she just sits there and just reads. And when there's a family squabble and people get themselves all upset, she just picks up a book and just excuses herself. And she goes over into the corner, and the kids say, you know, when someone will be around, their friends, they say, what's with your mom? And they all say, oh, she's got the big picture. It's like having the big picture. And these people, all of them report when they come back from that, they have this like near-death experience. It's like tension and stress and anxiety and fear and all of that stuff that occupies so much of our lives is just gone. It's just not a part of the consciousness any longer. My suggestion is that we don't have to have that kind of traumatic event happen to our form to understand the universal principles and to surrender to them and to make them work every day in our life. That we don't have to go there. That we can unmuddle all of this metaphysical psychobabble, jargons kind of stuff and begin to live the spiritual life and have the understanding that we are truly spiritual beings having a human experience, and that the quality of that human experience is only available to us through our thoughts, through our mind, through our divine connection. And that whatever your religious belief, whatever label you place on yourself, try not to think of yourself as Christian. Try to be Christ-like, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Try not to think of yourself as Jewish, but be Jehovah-like, or Buddha-like, or Mohammed-like. These were not people who were asking anyone to deify idols and wooden deities and an orthodoxy. But instead we're talking about kindness and love and forgiveness and gentleness and spirit, and that we're all connected, and you begin to live that way. And it's really quite an easy thing to do.
Blaise Pascal, the very famous French philosopher and scientist, 17th century. He said, all of man's troubles stem from his inability to sit quietly in a room alone. You will not ever get to know God unless you can get to the field of all possibilities. As St. Mark put it, with God all things are possible. Now that leaves nothing out. And the way that you do that is you go through the layers of your mind, from the surface, where the chatter is, to just below the surface, where the analyzing is, the intellectual violence, where you have to pick and tear everything apart, figure it all out. Lower to synthesis, where you see how all things are brought and held together. Lower to where you quiet the mind. And ultimately, coming to rest in the field of all possibilities, the limitless field. And here, in this place of rest, where you empty the mind of all thoughts, between your thoughts, through the process of meditation or getting quiet or chanting or prayer or whatever you want to call that activity of sitting quietly alone, twice a day at least, for 30 minutes, you will come to know God. You will find in that field of all possibilities that nothing at all is impossible. Nothing. This is the place where Jesus performed his miracles. This is the place where a Sai Baba can manifest the gift of fish and loaves. And once the people say to him, how can you do that? How can you just manifest? I don't know. He said, how can you not? He is just there. Just like looking at a pond and seeing that the essence of a pond is not the surface, where all the disturbances are, but below, where you get below the disturbances. In the mind, the surface is the chatter, the endless repetition of thoughts. And you know what that is? Just an endless repetition of the inventory of beliefs that have been handed to you by other people, and all of your opinions about them. When you get past those, you get to that peaceful place, that knowing. And after you get good at getting quiet and craving it, you will begin to see that not only is it meditation as a peaceful, beautiful, powerful experience, but what you bring back from the meditation is even more significant. And what you bring back is a solution of finding the key where you dropped it. What you bring back from that experience is a sense of peace and bliss and love and tolerance and kindness. All of the characteristics of your higher self, of your sacred self. As you tame your ego, you no longer have the possibility of being offended. You have made the decision to be free. And being able to work on those, one moment, one present moment at a time, will bring you to an understanding of what Robert Frost said in his poetry. He said, we all sit around in a ring and suppose, while the secret sits in the center and knows. And the secret that sits in the center and knows is really invisible, surrounded by form. In Zen they say it's the space between the bars that holds the tiger. It's the silence between the notes that makes the music. It's not the note, it's the silence between. What allows a vase to be a vase is not the form, it's not the material, it's the space inside. If you hit and break it, the vase, all the material is still there, no vase. You have to have the space surrounded by form. That's who you are, space. Inner, divine, empty, quiet, formless, eternal space, surrounded by a garage where you park your soul. In Sailing to Byzantium, William Butler Yeats put it this way. He said, an aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick, unless soul clap its hands and sing, and louder sing, for every tatter in its mortal dress. Without that soul, without that divine, silent, empty, invisible, formless, eternal space within us, we're just tattered coats on a stick. Go within. Banish the doubt. Witness it. Get rid of all the labels. And know that you are here for one purpose and one purpose only. To find and serve God. And when you do, you will understand what the Quakers would say at every single Sunday morning service. They said, the service begins when the meeting is over. This meeting is over. Good night. God bless you.
It can be difficult to finally just lighten up and understand that life is what happens while you're making other plans. This is it. Each and every instant of your life takes place in the present moment. Using your present moments to chase after future moments is an ego-based activity. When you are finally able to say that you have arrived, you will know what it feels like to be free. Your higher self does not want you to be lazy or without purpose, but to realize the power in knowing that you have arrived. When you know that this moment is your entire life, you are not focused on past or future moments, and you release the stress and tension that accompanied the striving lifestyle. With that release, you become more productive and peaceful than you were when you looked behind or ahead of yourself and did not allow your mind to rest in the still center of the present moment. Being fully in the now means that you will experience heaven on earth because you are completely absorbed in the soul of the holy instant. To experience the bliss of knowing that you are here now in this moment, and that is all there needs to be, all there ever was, and all you will ever know, you must learn to trust your higher self and let go of those ingrained teachings from all the egos that have influenced your life up until now. You will begin to realize that you are not on trial in the now here. You will soon realize that your mission is to serve and extend the love that is your basic essence, period. You don't have to do more, even though you may choose to do a great deal. Your overriding objective is to stay focused on sending and receiving agape, the love of God. If you incorporate the following ideas into the practice of your daily mission, you will succeed in your objective. Nothingness. Nothingness has a very positive value in your life. It is out of nothing that all is created. Space is considered to be nothing, no particles, no form, so we describe it as nothing. To fear this empty space, or to deny its value as a part of us, means doubting our own existence. We came from nothingness, the nowhere I've described throughout this tape, to this world of form, the now here. Surrender. To understand the concept of surrendering, you will not be able to rely on your ego. Ego never wants you to even consider surrendering. It would much rather you hang on to the belief that you must strive and cling to the familiar way. The notion of being attached to what happened to you in the past can be very deeply ingrained in you by your false self. You must learn to recognize ego's attachment to the past when it uses this to keep you stuck in striving. Surrender the belief that your past is what is driving your present. Surrendering also means learning to recognize the signals from your higher self that something within you needs to be witnessed. This means surrendering to whatever is in the present moments of your life. For many people, it can be confusing to discern whether it is ego or spirit that is at the helm. I find that using the image of a boat moving along the surface of a lake is helpful in making the distinction between ego and higher self. I visualize the wake of the boat as a symbol of the past. The wake is not driving the boat, it is merely the trail that is being left behind by the present moment movements of my boat image. What drives the boat is the energy generated in the now. I do not credit or blame the past for the boat's present state of arriving in this spot on the lake. That past cannot drive you in this now, and that past needn't be held responsible for the boat's problems. Practice surrendering by creating a new agreement with now. Agree to know that your past is a trail of present moments that are all left behind, and at the same time, know that if you are having difficulty in this present moment, you will surrender to that reality. Surrendering invites your loving presence to be available in every now moment. What a pleasure each moment can then be, even the last moment. Acceptance. Once when I was asked to define enlightenment, the best I could come up with was the quiet acceptance of what is. I believe that truly enlightened beings are those who refuse to allow themselves to be distressed over things that simply are the way they are. To arrive rather than to strive means applying the wisdom of Reinhold Niebuhr's so-called serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Knowing the difference can be the most difficult part. There is an ancient Zen teaching that says if you understand, things are just as they are. If you do not understand, things are just as they are. This is the essence of acceptance and the way of arriving rather than striving. Bewilderment. Your physical being is an enormous miracle. Its thousands of working parts function with a divine organizing intelligence. Consider your blood circulation, air inhalation, and oxygenation, your eyes, muscles, and bones, all responding to a brain and nervous system that is beyond comprehension. There are miles of arteries and veins, intestines with infinitely tiny microbes, all working in unison with that divine intelligence that creates the body you occupy. To be in a state of bewilderment, stop and behold the wonder of you. Allow yourself to enjoy the bewilderment and awe of who and what you are. There is the miraculous machine that houses you, and there is the incomprehensible mystery of the ghost in the machine that is your mind and soul observing all. Patience. Our loving presence offers us the infinite patience that originates with God. It has taken me over 50 years to know many of the concepts I have talked about on this tape. God has been patient. I have done things in my life that today make me shudder in contempt, yet God somehow stuck it out with me, patiently seeing the potential for something grander. I have stolen and shoplifted in my earlier days, lied all too frequently, been promiscuous and unfaithful, used substances, and through all this and much, much more, God showed me her infinite patience. The stories of the lives of St. Paul and St. Francis of Assisi describe the same kind of patience. This infinite patience is available to you at all moments. Regardless of where you have been, how you have lived, or how much you have relied upon your false self, God's infinite patience is ever present. One of the great teachers in my life was Paramahansa Yogananda, a man who came out of India to teach the ways of the higher self to the people of the West. I've read many of his speeches and have found great comfort in his writings as well as reading about his life. I offer you one of my favorite sayings to ponder as you move toward an awareness of arriving rather than striving. Seek spiritual riches within, he reminds us. What you are is much greater than anyone or anything else you have ever yearned for. That is the voice of your higher self reminding you to quietly accept yourself and turn off the yearning. You are never going to get it all. You are it all already.
Someone just sent me recently a video that said the Steve Jobs top 10 rules for success, and I went through the whole thing. It was about a 40-minute video, and I just started watching it. It was various times that Steve Jobs had been interviewed, and they went through his various success themes. And I think this story just summarizes about all 10 of them. It's called Why Do Ducks Quack and Eagles Fly? Years ago, this is in the Manila paper. Years ago, my friend Harvey McKay told me a wonderful story about a cab driver that proved this point. He was waiting in line for a ride at the airport. When a cab pulled up, the first thing Harvey noticed was that the taxi was polished to a bright shine. Smartly dressed in a white shirt and black tie and freshly pressed black slacks, the cab driver jumped out and rounded the car to open the back passenger door for me. He handed my friend a laminated card and said, "I'm Wally. I'm your driver. While I'm loading your bags in the trunk, I'd like you to read my mission statement." Taken aback, Harvey read the card. It said, Wally's mission statement. Quote, "To get my customers to their destination in the quickest, safest, and cheapest way possible in a friendly environment." Unquote. This blew Harvey away, especially when he noticed that the inside of the car matched the outside spotlessly clean. As he slid behind the wheel, Wally said, "Would you like a cup of coffee? I have a thermos of regular and one of decaf." My friend said jokingly, "No, I'd rather prefer a soft drink." Wally smiled and said, "No problem. I have a cooler up here in front with regular and Diet Coke, water, and orange juice." Almost stuttering, Harvey said, "I'll take a Diet Coke." Handing him his drink, Wally said, "If you'd like something to read, I have the Wall Street Journal, I have Time, Sports Illustrated, and USA Today." As they were pulling away, Wally handed my friend another laminated card. "These are the stations I get and the music they play, if you'd like to listen to the radio." As if that weren't enough, Wally told Harvey that he had the air conditioning on and asked if the temperature was comfortable for him. Then he advised Harvey of the best route to his destination for that time of day. He also let him know that he'd be happy to chat and tell him about some of the sights, or, if Harvey preferred, to leave him with his own thoughts. "Tell me, Wally," my amazed friend asked the driver, have you always served customers like this?" Wally smiled into the rearview mirror. "No, not always. In fact, it's only been in the last 2 years. My first 5 years driving, I spent most of my time complaining, like all the rest of the cabbies do. Then I heard this personal growth guru, Wayne Dyer, on the radio one day. He had just written a book called You'll See It When You Believe It. Dyer said that if you get up in the morning expecting to have a bad day, you'll rarely disappoint yourself. He said, "Stop complaining, differentiate yourself from your competition. Don't be a duck, be an eagle. Ducks quack and complain, eagles soar above the crowd." That hit me right between the eyes, said Wally. Dyer was really talking about me. I was always quacking and complaining, so I decided to change my attitude and become an eagle. I looked around at the other cabs and their drivers. The cabs were dirty, the drivers were unfriendly, and the customers were unhappy. So I decided to make some changes. I put in a few more at a time. When my customers responded well, I did more. "I take it that it's paid off for you," Harvey said. "It sure has," Wally replied. "My first year as an eagle, I doubled my income from the previous year. This year, I'll probably quadruple it. You were lucky to get me today. I don't sit at cab stands anymore. My customers call me for appointments on my cell phone or leave a message on my answering machine. If I can't pick them up myself, I get a reliable cabbie friend to do it, and I take a piece of the action." Wally was phenomenal. He was running a limo service out of a yellow cab. I've probably told that story to more than 50 cab drivers over the years, and only 2 took the idea and ran with it. Whenever I go to their cities, I give them a call. The rest of the drivers quacked like ducks and told me all the reasons they couldn't do any of what I was suggesting. Wally, the cab driver, made a different choice. He decided to stop quacking like ducks and start soaring like eagles. No one can make you serve customers well. You make that choice. That's because great service is a choice. And at the end of the story says, "I hope that this story will serve as a motivation not only for our advocates, but also for people to look at things differently and make a choice to succeed in spite of everyday problems in life." Isn't that a great story?
I love that. I'd like to give that to a couple of waiters I've had recently.
Yes.
That weren't very happy to be where they were.
Well, you know, it's applicable to virtually everything. You don't even have to be out there working. It's applicable to how you run your family and how you run your home and you know, how you go shopping. Virtually anything that you do, and including how you keep your own car and your own home and everything else. It's like if you change the way you look at it, you know. And what he did is he heard this. I used to give this talk called Ducks and Eagles. This goes back many years. And I would talk about how eagles soar above the crowd and all of that, and ducks kind of just quack around and lay on the, always on the ground, and they're always stepping in their own duck shit and things like that. and eagles just had to soar above all of that, and learning how to be, how to change your attitude towards virtually everything that you do.
What a great lesson in that. The idea that you take, there's a rule, it's called the 80-20 rule. And in the 80-20 rule, it says everything that you have, all of your stuff, 20% of it is what you use. All of your clothes in your closet, 20%. You just keep using the same 20% over and over. 80% of the clothing that you have in your closet, for so many people, is something that you never use, you don't wear. You look at it, you store it, you think, well, there might come a day, I can't part with that, even though you've been carting it around. Every time you move it and you put it. Take the 80% that you don't use, says Lao Tzu, and give it away. Give it away. Lao Tzu said that when your cup is full, stop pouring. When your cup is full, stop pouring. We have an obesity crisis in the United States, in the Western world. The obesity crisis can be handled if you just read the Tao. If you realize, in verse 33, it says, if you realize you have enough, you are truly rich. If you could just learn something called portion control, where you just take a bite and you say, is my cup full? Stop pouring. Stop pouring. In other words, instead of filling yourself with that which is already a surplus, in the Tao it teaches us to take surpluses
and to reduce them and to take deficiencies and increase them so that we create balance in our lives, to be in balance. You can take the jewelry that you don't use. You can take the clothing, and then once you've given away the 80% that you don't use, take one of the things that you really like and practice giving that away. It's such a wonderful way. Listen to this poem. It was written by a great Persian poet named Hafiz. It says, even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. Just look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky. It lights up the whole sky. There's no owing. There's no owing. You don't have to be, you can practice living a state of contentment. This was so powerful for me. You just can't imagine how good it felt for one entire year to walk through every day and say, I'm content. I'm content. I start out every morning of my life. The first words, Hafiz says, if there's only one prayer that you say every day, make it thank you. Just say thank you. That's how I start. Wake up, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you, Source. Thank you, Tao. Whatever you want to call. The opening line of the Tao says, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. As soon as you put a name on it, it dissolves. There's no name for it. It's just endlessly, invisibly, constantly in a state of creating out of a state of love. I asked if I could have water on the stage. They did it. They figured it out. There's Now, I'm going to try to get some of this water, okay? So you get down here and you just, I'm going to just scoop this up. And okay, now tighter you hold it, the less chance you have of doing anything with it, isn't it? How can I experience water? The way to experience water is to just get soft, just get unbending. And there it is. That's what water is. The minute I grasp it, the minute I try, and Lao Tzu is saying the same thing is true in everything in your life. The more you grasp, the more you try to hold on to it, the more you try to be rigid with it, the less control you have of it. The softer you are, the less rigid you are, the more flexible you are as a person, the more you can accomplish.
In reading the Seth material, Jane Roberts said that we are awake at the wrong time and asleep at the wrong time. That the best time to be awake is between 3 and 6 a.m., wherever you are. And that, she said, virtually every single one of you, and I'd like to put you to this test, every one of you will receive a wake-up call from God between 3 and 6 a.m. You will wake up for a moment, note the time, and then listen to your ego and go back to sleep. Or maybe get up if you got a prostate problem and get right back into bed and say, well, it's 3:30. I don't get up at 3:30 in the morning. Only a fool would do that, you see. And that the best time to be asleep is between 3 and 6 in the afternoon. And that between 3 and 6 in the morning is when the world is silent. And you will, and I've learned this after 6-7 months of doing this, I've learned that I am the most clear in these hours. And I have begun to have this awareness after 6 months now of being up in these hours that I am losing the paradigm that I was stuck in. And the paradigm that I was stuck in says, if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to be very tired for the rest of the day. And I've only had, let me see how fit I am and how good I feel. Where's my watch? Where's the clock? I've got to find out, well, let's see, I went to bed at 11, 4 hours. It's going to be a deficit of 4 hours, so I'm going to be sleepy all the rest of the day, and then I'm not going to get this done, and tonight we've got to go here, and I'm going to be sleepy then. I'm going back to sleep. Now, there was an ancient Sufi poet. His name was Rumi. And Rumi had, in one of his poems, he said, "Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep." So what I have done, and what my teacher said to me, he said, "You will find this difficult at first, because your ego will be telling you all the reasons why this is absurd. So what you do is you wake up and you put your feet on the floor. And then if you want to go back to sleep, sleep with your feet on the floor." Which I have done on a few occasions. But not for very long. And the ironic thing about all of this is that I now, when I go to sleep, it doesn't make any difference what time it is. I can't wait for 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to arrive and to get out there and be, no matter what the temperature is or what city I'm in or where I am, I can't wait for that. And I have eradicated fear from my consciousness. It's just like knowing that I'm protected and that I'm fine and that it's going to be all right. And so I would just like throw that out to you. There are probably people in the room here who get up in those hours, not to go to work, but often to meditate or to write or to do their music or to create whatever it is that you're creating or to think through whatever. This is a very, very spiritual time of the day. It is the most spiritual time of the day. It is the time when you have more silence, and as Melville said, silence is God's one and only voice. And you will begin to make a direct-sided communication with the higher part of yourself if you can remove so many of the distractions.
There's something you need to understand right now, in this very moment. You are not alone in this universe. You never have been, and you never will be. There's a force, an intelligence, a source of infinite abundance that's been with you since before you took your first breath, and it will remain with you long after your last. This isn't about religion or doctrine or sitting in uncomfortable pews. This is about truth. This is about the fundamental reality of how life works. You've been taught to worry, haven't you? You've been conditioned to believe that life is hard, that you have to struggle, that scarcity is the natural state of things. You wake up in the morning and the first thing that hits you is anxiety about money, about your job, about whether you'll have enough money, enough time, enough love, enough success. But what if I told you that this entire way of thinking is backwards? What if the very worry itself is what's blocking the flow of abundance that's trying to reach you right now? Think about a bird for a moment. A simple bird sitting on a branch outside your window. That bird doesn't have a bank account. It doesn't have a retirement plan or a savings account or a credit score. That bird doesn't lie awake at night wondering where its next meal will come from. And yet every single day that bird finds food. Every single day that bird survives. Every single day, nature provides exactly what that bird needs. Now, are you less important than a bird? Are you less deserving of care than a sparrow or a robin? The universe that created you, this magnificent intelligence that thought you into existence, this source that gave you eyes to see and ears to hear, and a heart that beats without you having to think about it, do you really believe it would abandon you now? Do you really think that the same force that orchestrates the turning of planets and the blooming of flowers and the cycles of seasons would suddenly forget about you when it comes to your rent payment or your grocery bill? You are a piece of God. You are a divine creation. The same intelligence that flows through everything flows through you, and this intelligence doesn't know lack. It doesn't understand scarcity. Those are human concepts, human inventions born out of fear and separation. The source knows only abundance, only infinite supply, only endless provision. But here's where most people get stuck. They say they believe this, they say they trust, but then they spend every waking moment worrying. They pray for help and then immediately start planning for disaster. They ask for provision and then complain about what they don't have. This is like planting a seed and then digging it up every day to check if it's growing. The doubt, the worry, the constant mental obsession with lack is what prevents the good from flowing to you. You have to understand something crucial. Your thoughts are creative. Your mind is not just a passive observer of reality. Your mind is actively creating your reality moment by moment. When you think thoughts of lack, when you focus on what you don't have, when you tell yourself stories about struggle and hardship, you are literally instructing the universe to bring you more lack, more absence, more struggle. The universe doesn't judge your thoughts as good or bad. It simply responds to them. It simply says, your wish is my command. So when you wake up in the morning and your first thought is, how am I going to pay this bill? You've just placed an order with the universe for more situations that make you ask that question. When you look at your bank account and say, there's never enough, you've just requested more experiences of not enough. This isn't punishment. This isn't God being cruel. This is simply the law of cause and effect playing out in your life. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but I have real problems. I have actual bills. I have genuine responsibilities. I can't just pretend everything is fine when it's not. And you're right. I'm not suggesting you ignore reality. I'm not suggesting you become delusional or irresponsible. What I'm suggesting is that you change your relationship with reality. What I'm suggesting is that you stop seeing your current circumstances as permanent and start seeing them as temporary and changeable. Every single thing that exists in your life right now first existed as a thought. Your house, your car, your relationships, your job, all of it started in the invisible world of thought before it became visible in your physical reality. And if your current reality was created by your past thinking, then your future reality will be created by your present thinking. This means you have incredible power right now, in this moment, to change everything. But you have to stop the worry. You have to stop the anxiety. You have to stop the constant mental rehearsal of worst-case scenarios. Every time you catch yourself worrying about money, stop. Every time you feel fear about the future, stop. And in that moment, make a different choice. Choose to remember that you are supported. Choose to trust that provision is on its way. Choose to know, not just believe, but truly know that the universe has your back. This isn't about being naive or passive. This is about being aligned with the way things actually work. When you align yourself with the energy of trust and faith and abundance, you open yourself up to receive. You become a magnet for opportunity. You start noticing possibilities that were always there, but that you couldn't see before because you were blinded by fear. Let me tell you something about faith. Real faith isn't hoping things will work out. Real faith is knowing they will. It's the absolute certainty that you are taken care of, that you are guided, that you are provided for. And this kind of faith doesn't come from trying to convince yourself of something you don't believe. It comes from connecting with the truth of who you really are. You are not your body. You are not your job title. You are not your bank balance. You are infinite consciousness temporarily housed in a physical form. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And the spiritual part of you, your true essence, is eternally connected to the source of all creation. This connection can never be broken. It's not something you have to earn or deserve. It's your birthright simply because you exist. When you really get this, when you really understand this at a level beyond intellectual knowledge, everything changes. You stop feeling separate and alone. You stop feeling like you're fighting against the world. You start to feel held, supported, guided. You start to trust the process of life instead of resisting it. Now, trust doesn't mean sitting on your couch waiting for money to fall from the sky. Trust means taking inspired action. It means doing what you're called to do without being attached to specific outcomes. It means showing up fully in your life while knowing that the universe is orchestrating everything for your highest good. Here's what happens when you truly trust. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. People show up to help you at exactly the right time. Solutions present themselves to problems you didn't even know how to solve. Money comes from unexpected sources. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the natural result of aligning yourself with the flow of abundance that's always moving through the universe. But you have to get yourself out of the way. You have to stop trying to control every detail. You have to stop insisting that things happen your way and in your timing. The universe has a much bigger perspective than you do. It can see connections and possibilities that are completely invisible to you. When you try to force things to happen through sheer willpower and effort, you often block the very help that's trying to reach you. This is what surrender means. Not giving up, but giving over. Not becoming passive, but becoming receptive. It means doing your part and trusting that the universe will do its part. It means planting seeds and watering them, and then trusting the soil and the sun and the rain to do what they do naturally. Think about your body for a moment. You don't have to think about making your heart beat. You don't have to remember to digest your food. You don't have to consciously direct your immune system to fight off infections. Your body knows what to do. It has an intelligence built into it, and your life is the same way. There's an intelligence guiding your life, orchestrating events, bringing people and circumstances together in ways you could never plan or predict.
But when you're stuck in worry and fear, you disconnect from this intelligence. You start trying to do everything yourself. You start believing that it's all up to you, that if you don't figure it out, nobody will, that you're all alone in this struggle. And this belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you believe you're alone, the more alone you feel. The more you believe you have to do it all yourself, the heavier the burden becomes. What if you just stopped? What if, just for today, you decided to trust completely? What if you woke up tomorrow morning and instead of immediately going into worry mode, you said, "Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for providing for me. Thank you for guiding me to everything I need." What if you spent your day looking for evidence of support instead of looking for evidence of lack? Because here's the thing, whatever you look for, you will find. If you look for problems, you'll see problems everywhere. If you look for lack, you'll see lack in every situation. But if you look for blessings, if you look for abundance, if you look for evidence that you're supported and cared for, you'll start seeing it everywhere. You'll notice the friend who calls at exactly the right time. You'll notice the unexpected check in the mail. You'll notice the idea that pops into your head that leads to a new opportunity. This isn't about denying problems. This is about changing your focus. Yes, challenges exist. Yes, difficulties arise. But when you're focused on trust and faith, you approach these challenges from a completely different energy. Instead of panic and desperation, you feel calm and certain. Instead of feeling victimized by circumstances, you feel curious about how this situation will resolve. Instead of feeling alone, you feel supported. And this shift in energy changes everything. When you're calm and centered, you make better decisions. When you trust instead of panic, you see solutions you would have missed. When you feel supported instead of alone, you're more likely to reach out for help and to recognize help when it comes. Let me tell you something about asking for help. The universe wants to help you. God wants to provide for you, but you have to be willing to receive. And many people block their own receiving through pride or shame or the belief that they should be able to do everything themselves. They pray for help, but then refuse to accept it when it comes because it doesn't look the way they expected or because they feel they don't deserve it. If you ask for help, be willing to receive it in whatever form it comes. Maybe it's a friend offering you a place to stay. Maybe it's a stranger giving you advice. Maybe it's a book that falls off a shelf with exactly the information you need. Maybe it's a thought that comes to you in the shower. The universe has infinite ways of providing for you, but you have to be open to seeing and receiving the help when it arrives. And here's something else that's really important. You have to stop comparing yourself to other people. You have to stop looking at what they have and feeling like you're being left out. The universe is not a finite pie where if someone else gets a big slice, there's less for you. The universe is infinite. There's more than enough for everyone. Someone else's success doesn't diminish your opportunities. Someone else's abundance doesn't mean there's less abundance available for you. In fact, when you see someone else thriving, it should encourage you. It should remind you that abundance is real, that provision is possible, that dreams do come true. Instead of feeling jealous or resentful, feel happy for them and know that if it's possible for them, it's possible for you too. Use their success as evidence that the universe provides and know that your provision is on its way. But you have to be patient. This is where many people give up. They try trusting for a week or a month, and when things don't immediately change, they go right back to worry and doubt. Trust isn't a temporary strategy. Trust is a way of life. It's a fundamental shift in how you see yourself in the world. And like any real change, it takes time to fully integrate. There will be days when trust feels easy and natural, and there will be days when fear creeps back in and you find yourself worrying again. That's okay. That's part of being human. The key is not to beat yourself up when you fall back into old patterns. The key is to notice it, to acknowledge it, and to gently redirect your thoughts back to trust. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose faith over fear. You don't have to be perfect at this. You just have to be willing. You just have to keep choosing moment by moment to align yourself with trust instead of worry, with abundance instead of lack, with faith instead of doubt. And as you do this, as you practice this consistently, something amazing happens. You start to see evidence everywhere that you are indeed provided for. You start to notice synchronicities and coincidences that are too perfect to be random. You start to feel a sense of peace and security that doesn't depend on your external circumstances. You start to know, really know in your bones that you are taken care of. This knowing is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Because when you know you're provided for, when you truly trust that you're supported, you stop living from a place of fear and you start living from a place of love.
You stop making decisions based on what you're afraid of losing, and you start making decisions based on what lights you up and excites you. You stop settling for less than you deserve because you're afraid nothing better will come along. You start saying yes to opportunities that align with your truth and no to situations that don't serve you. This is what it means to live in faith. This is what it means to trust that God or the universe or whatever you want to call this infinite intelligence will provide for you. It's not about being reckless or irresponsible. It's about being so secure in your connection to Source that you can take risks, that you can follow your heart, that you can live authentically instead of playing it safe out of fear. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you trust, the more you have to trust in. The more you relax into the flow of provision, the more provision flows to you. The more you let go of control, the more everything falls into place. It's like learning to float in water. When you tense up and fight, you sink. But when you relax and trust the water to hold you, you float effortlessly. Life is trying to hold you. The universe is trying to support you. But you have to relax. You have to let go. You have to trust that you won't be dropped, that you won't be abandoned, that you won't be left without what you need. Now, some of you might be thinking about past disappointments. You might be remembering times when you trusted and things didn't work out the way you wanted. You might be holding on to hurt or betrayal or situations where you felt let down. And I want to acknowledge that. Your feelings are valid. Your experiences are real. But I also want to suggest that maybe those situations weren't failures of trust. Maybe they were redirections. Maybe they were protection. Maybe the universe was actually guiding you away from something that wasn't right for you and towards something better, even if you couldn't see it at the time. Sometimes what looks like a closed door is actually divine protection. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually redirection towards something more aligned with your highest good. Sometimes the worst thing that ever happened to you turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to you because it forced you to change direction, to grow, to become who you needed to be. This is where faith really comes in. Because faith means trusting even when you can't see the full picture. Faith means believing that everything is working out for your good even when it doesn't feel that way. Faith means knowing that you're being guided even when the path seems unclear. And the more you practice this kind of faith, the more evidence you'll see that it's true. You'll look back on your life and you'll see how things that seemed terrible at the time actually set you up for blessings you couldn't have imagined. You'll see how doors that closed led you to better doors that opened. You'll see how you've always been taken care of, even in the moments when you felt most alone. This perspective shift is everything. When you can see your life as a series of guided events, all conspiring for your growth and good, you stop feeling like a victim. You stop feeling like life is happening to you, and you start seeing that life is happening for you. Every experience, every challenge, every setback is actually an opportunity for growth, for learning, for becoming more of who you truly are. And when you're growing and evolving and becoming more authentically yourself, you naturally align with greater abundance. Because abundance isn't just about money, it's about living a rich life. It's about having meaningful relationships and fulfilling work and a sense of purpose. It's about feeling joy and peace and contentment regardless of your external circumstances. This is true wealth, and this is what the universe wants to give you. Not just financial provision, though that's certainly included, but a life of meaning and purpose and joy. A life where you feel connected and loved and supported. A life where you're expressing your unique gifts and making a difference in the world in your own special way. But you can't receive this kind of life if you're stuck in survival mode. You can't experience true abundance if you're constantly worried about scarcity. You can't feel the support that's always there if you're closed off by fear and doubt. You have to open yourself up. You have to become receptive. You have to create space for the good to flow in. And you create this space through gratitude, through appreciation for what you already have, through focusing on the blessings in your life instead of the problems. When you wake up in the morning and you immediately start listing things you're grateful for, you shift your energy from lack to abundance. When you go through your day looking for things to appreciate, you train your mind to see the good that's already present. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. This is about acknowledging the perfection within the imperfection. Yes, you might have challenges. Yes, you might have problems. But you also have so much to be grateful for. You woke up this morning, you can read these words. You have awareness and consciousness and the ability to think and feel and choose. These are miracles that we take for granted every single day. When you start to really appreciate the miracle of your existence, When you start to feel genuine gratitude for the gift of life itself, something shifts inside you. You start to feel wealthy even before your circumstances change. You start to feel abundant because you recognize the abundance that's already present. And this feeling of abundance attracts more abundance. It's a law as reliable as gravity. So make gratitude a practice. Make it a daily discipline. Not because you're trying to manipulate the universe into giving you more, but because gratitude opens your eyes to see what's already here. It shifts your perception from lack to plenty. It reminds you that you are blessed, that you are supported, that you are provided for. And from this place of gratitude and recognition of current abundance, you can ask for more. You can set intentions for what you want to create in your life. You can have desires and dreams and goals. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. The universe is abundant and there's always more available. But you want to approach your desires from a place of already feeling whole and complete, not from a place of desperate neediness. When you want something because it would be fun or exciting or enjoyable, that's different from wanting something because you think you need it to be okay. When you desire from a place of fullness, you're much more likely to receive. When you desire from a place of emptiness, you tend to push things away with your desperate energy. So trust that you already have everything you truly need in this moment. Trust that you're provided for right now. And from that place of trust and security, allow yourself to want more. Allow yourself to have dreams and visions for your future. Allow yourself to ask for what you desire. But hold it lightly. Want it, but don't need it. Intend it, but don't attach to it. Trust that if it's meant for you, it will come. And if it doesn't come, something better will. This is the sweet spot. This is where manifestation happens naturally and effortlessly. Not from striving and forcing and trying to make things happen through sheer willpower, but from allowing and receiving and trusting that the universe is working on your behalf. And it is working on your behalf. Every single moment of every single day, there are forces at work that you cannot see, orchestrating events and bringing people together and creating opportunities that will benefit you. Your job is not to figure out how it will all happen. Your job is not to control the process. Your job is simply to stay in alignment with trust and faith and to take whatever actions feel right in the moment. When you get an intuitive hit to call someone, call them. When you feel drawn to go somewhere, go there. When an idea pops into your head, act on it. These impulses are guidance. They're the universe speaking to you, directing you, showing you the way. But you have to be paying attention. You have to be present. You have to be listening. And you can't listen when your mind is full of worry and noise and fear. You can't hear the gentle whispers of intuition when you're caught up in mental chaos. This is why practices like meditation and silence and stillness are so valuable. They quiet the mind. They create space for you to hear the guidance that's always there. You don't have to meditate for hours. Even just a few minutes of quiet time each day can make a huge difference. Sit quietly, breathe, let your thoughts settle, and in that stillness, ask for guidance. Ask to be shown the way. Ask for help with whatever you're facing. And then listen. Not for a booming voice from the sky, but for a subtle knowing, a gentle feeling, a quiet sense of what to do next. This guidance is always available to you. You are never without help. You are never without support, but you have to tune in to receive it. You have to create space for it. You have to value it enough to take time out of your busy schedule to listen. And when you do, when you make this connection with your inner wisdom and with the universal intelligence that guides all things, you'll find that your life starts to flow. Decisions become easier. You feel more confident and certain. You stop second-guessing yourself all the time. You trust yourself because you know you're being guided. This self-trust is so important because ultimately, trusting that God will provide for you means trusting yourself. It means trusting that you have everything you need within you to handle whatever comes. It means trusting that you're capable and strong and resilient. It means trusting that even if you make mistakes, you'll learn from them and grow and ultimately be okay. You are so much more powerful than you realize. You have so much more capacity than you give yourself credit for. You've survived 100% of your worst days. You've made it through challenges you thought would break you. You're still here. You're still standing. You're still growing and learning and evolving. Give yourself credit for that. Acknowledge your strength. Recognize your resilience. And know that the same force that brought you through everything in your past will bring you through everything in your future. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And you will never be alone. There is an infinite intelligence that loves you, that supports you, that wants the best for you. Call it God. Call it the universe. Call it Source. Call it whatever feels right to you. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that you know it's real. What matters is that you feel it. What matters is that you trust it. And when you trust it, really trust it with your whole heart. Your whole life changes. Fear loses its grip on you. Anxiety fades away. Worry becomes a thing of the past. You wake up each day with a sense of peace and certainty, knowing that you're taken care of, that you're guided, that everything you need will be provided. This is the promise. This is the truth. This is how life really works. When you align yourself with it, you are meant to thrive. You are meant to prosper. You are meant to live abundantly in every way. Not someday in the future, but right now, today, in this very moment. So stop waiting for circumstances to change before you allow yourself to feel secure. Stop telling yourself you'll trust when you see evidence. Start trusting now and watch as the evidence appears. Start living as if you're supported, and you'll find that you are. Start believing that provision is on its way, and it will be. This is not wishful thinking. This is not naive optimism. This is the fundamental law of the universe. Energy flows where attention goes. What you focus on expands. What you believe becomes your reality. You are a creator, whether you realize it or not. You're creating your life every single day through your thoughts and beliefs and expectations. So create consciously. Choose beliefs that serve you. Focus on thoughts that uplift you. Expect good things to happen. Anticipate blessings. Look for miracles. And trust, above all else, that you are provided for, that you are supported, that you are loved beyond measure by a universe that wants nothing more than for you to thrive. You are exactly where you need to be right now. This very moment, this very second that you're hearing these words is not an accident. There are no accidents in this universe. Everything that comes into your life comes at precisely the right time, and when your soul is ready to receive it, the teacher appears. When your soul is ready to learn, the lesson shows up. When your soul is ready to transform, the message finds you. Right now, something inside you stirred. Something made you stop and listen. That's your soul speaking to you. That's the part of you that knows there's more to life than what you've been experiencing. That's the part of you that's been waiting, preparing, getting ready for this moment of awakening. And now you're here, and that's beautiful. You see, most people go through life asleep. They're walking around, going through the motions, doing what they think they're supposed to do, living lives that someone else designed for them. They wake up, go to work, come home, watch television, go to sleep, and do it all over again. They're waiting for the weekend. They're waiting for vacation. They're waiting for retirement. They're waiting for life to begin, not realizing that life is happening right now, in this very moment. But you're different. The fact that you're here, the fact that something drew you to these words, tells me that your soul is stirring. Your soul is saying, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a purpose to my existence, beyond just paying bills and getting through the day. And your soul is absolutely right. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Let that sink in for a moment. You are not your body. You are not your job title. You are not your bank account. You are not the roles you play or the labels that society has put on you. You are an infinite, eternal spiritual being, temporarily housed in this physical form, here on this earth school to learn, to grow, to expand, and to remember who you truly are. When you came into this world, you came from a place of pure love, pure light, pure possibility. You were connected to the source of all creation. You were one with everything. And then something happened. You started to forget. Society started to condition you. Your parents, with all their love and good intentions, started to tell you who you should be. Your teachers told you what you should learn. Your peers told you how you should act. And slowly, layer by layer, you covered up that magnificent spiritual being with fear, with doubt, with limiting beliefs, with other people's opinions. But here's the beautiful thing. That spiritual being is still there. It never went anywhere. It's just been covered up. And when your soul is ready, when you've had enough of living someone else's life, when you've had enough of the pain, the struggle, the feeling that something is missing, that's when the awakening begins. That's when messages like this one find their way to you. You might be going through a difficult time right now. Maybe you've lost someone you love. Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe a relationship has ended. Maybe you're dealing with health challenges. Maybe you're just feeling lost, confused, wondering what your purpose is, wondering why you're here. If any of this resonates with you, I want you to know something very important. This is not happening to you. This is happening for you. Every challenge, Every obstacle, every painful experience you've ever had has been preparing you for this moment. All of those experiences were necessary. They were teaching you. They were shaping you. They were getting you ready to step into the person you're meant to become. The caterpillar must go through the darkness of the cocoon before it can emerge as a butterfly. And you, right now, might be in that cocoon. You might be in that dark place, wondering if you'll ever see the light again. But I promise you, transformation is happening. Your soul is ready. Your wings are forming. Here's what I know to be true. You are not your past. You are not the mistakes you've made. You are not the failures you've experienced. You are not the pain that's been inflicted upon you. All of that was part of the human experience, but it's not who you are. Who you are is the observer of all those experiences. Who you are is the consciousness that's aware of them. And that consciousness, that awareness, that's the real you. That's your soul. And your soul cannot be damaged. It cannot be diminished. It cannot be destroyed. Your soul is perfect, whole, and complete right now. It always has been, and it always will be. The only thing that's been blocking you from experiencing this truth is your thinking. It's the thoughts you've been thinking, the beliefs you've been believing, the stories you've been telling yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. But thoughts can be changed. Beliefs can be transformed. Stories can be rewritten. And that's the beautiful news. You don't have to stay stuck where you are. You don't have to keep repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, living the same limited life. You have the power right now, in this moment, to choose differently. You have the power to choose love over fear. You have the power to choose faith over doubt. You have the power to choose possibility over limitation. You have the power to choose growth over stagnation. And when you make these choices, when you align your thinking with your soul's truth, miracles begin to happen. Now, I'm not talking about magic tricks or fantasy. I'm talking about real, tangible changes in your life. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you shift your perspective from why is this happening to me to what is this teaching me, everything transforms. When you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a creator of your reality, your whole world shifts. You see, the universe is not random, it's not chaotic. It's organized by laws, by principles that are as reliable as gravity. One of these laws is the law of attraction. What you focus on expands. What you think about, you bring about. Where your attention goes, energy flows. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't positive affirmation, mumbo jumbo. This is a fundamental truth about how consciousness works. If you focus on what's wrong in your life, you'll get more of what's wrong. If you focus on lack, you'll experience more lack. If you focus on problems, you'll encounter more problems. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because your focus is literally creating your experience of reality. Your perception is your reality. But the opposite is also true. If you focus on gratitude, you'll find more things to be grateful for. If you focus on abundance, you'll notice abundance all around you. If you focus on solutions, solutions will appear. If you focus on love, love will multiply in your life. Your soul knows this truth. Your soul has always known it. That's why when you're aligned with your soul, when you're living from that place of truth and authenticity, life flows. Things work out, doors open, opportunities appear. The right people show up at the right time. Synchronicities happen. You've probably experienced this before. Think about a time when you were so excited about something, so passionate, so aligned with what you were doing that everything just seemed to click. Time flew by. Things came easily. You were in the flow. That's what it feels like to be aligned with your soul. That's what it feels like to be living your purpose. And your purpose isn't some grand, complex thing that you have to search the ends of the earth to find. Your purpose is simple. Your purpose is to be you, your authentic, true, real you. Not the version of you that you think you should be. Not the version that your parents wanted you to be. Not the version that society expects you to be. The real you. The you that you are when nobody's watching. The you that your soul came here to express. When you're being authentically you, when you're expressing your unique gifts and talents, when you're following your heart, when you're doing what brings you joy, that's when you're fulfilling your purpose. And here's the beautiful thing. When you're living your purpose, when you're being authentically you, you automatically serve others. You automatically make the world a better place because your unique gifts are exactly what the world needs. There's nobody else on this planet who has your exact combination of experiences, talents, perspectives, and abilities. Nobody else can do what you can do in the way that you can do it. You are absolutely unique and necessary. The world needs you to show up as you. not as a pale imitation of someone else, not as a watered-down version of yourself, but as the full, radiant, magnificent being that you truly are. But here's where it gets challenging. To be authentically you, you have to let go of who you think you should be. You have to let go of the expectations. You have to let go of the need for approval. You have to let go of the fear of judgment. You have to let go of trying to fit in, trying to be normal, trying to be like everyone else. And that's scary. That's really scary, because we're hardwired for connection. We're tribal beings. Our survival used to depend on being part of the group. So we have this primal fear of being rejected, of being cast out, of being alone. And that fear keeps us small. That fear keeps us playing safe. That fear keeps us living lives that aren't really ours. But your soul doesn't care about fitting in. Your soul doesn't care about being normal. Your soul doesn't care about what other people think. Your soul only cares about growth, expansion, love, and authentic expression. And when your soul is ready, it starts to override that fear. When your soul is ready, you start to care more about being true to yourself than about pleasing others. When your soul is ready, you start to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, to do things that scare you but excite you at the same time. This is the awakening. This is what's happening to you right now. Your soul is ready. It's been ready for a while, actually. It's been whispering to you, sending you signs, creating situations that nudge you toward your truth. And now, here you are listening. Here you are paying attention. Here you are, ready to step into the next chapter of your life. So what do you do now? How do you move forward from here? Let me share some simple truths that can guide you. First, trust yourself. Trust that inner voice. Trust your intuition. Your soul speaks to you through your feelings, through your gut instincts, through those moments of knowing that you can't quite explain. When something feels right, when something lights you up, when something makes your heart sing, that's your soul saying yes. Follow that. Even if it doesn't make logical sense, even if you can't see the whole path, even if other people think you're crazy. Trust yourself. Second, let go of the need to control everything. The universe has a plan for you that's far greater than anything your limited human mind could conceive. When you try to control every detail, when you insist that things happen in a certain way on a certain timeline, you actually block the flow of miracles. Instead, set your intention, be clear about what you want to create and who you want to become, and then surrender the how and the when to the universe. Do your part. Take inspired action, but let go of the outcome. Trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. Third, practice gratitude. Make it a daily habit. When you wake up in the morning, before you even get out of bed, think of 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. Maybe you're grateful for the comfortable bed you slept in. Maybe you're grateful for the sunshine coming through your window. Maybe you're grateful for the fact that you have another day to live, to grow, to experience life. This simple practice shifts your energy. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. And when you appreciate what you have, you attract more to appreciate. Fourth, forgive. Forgive everyone who has ever hurt you. Forgive your parents for their mistakes. Forgive your ex-partners for their betrayals. Forgive your friends for their disappointments. Forgive your enemies for their attacks. And most importantly, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, for the people you've hurt, for the opportunities you've missed, for the ways you've betrayed yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you're no longer willing to carry the weight of it. It means you're choosing freedom over resentment. It means you're choosing love over fear. When you forgive, you break the chains that have been keeping you trapped in the past. You free up energy that's been stuck in old wounds and old stories. You create space for new experiences, new relationships, new possibilities. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful spiritual practices you can engage in. It's not easy, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to live a free, joyful, authentic life. Fifth, be present. Stop living in the past. Stop worrying about the future. The only moment you truly have is this one right now. This moment is where life happens. This moment is where your power is. This moment is where your soul exists. When you're fully present, fully aware, fully engaged with what's happening right now, you experience life in all its richness, all its beauty, all its magnificence. So often we miss the miracles that are happening all around us because we're lost in thought. We're replaying yesterday's conversations. We're rehearsing tomorrow's presentations. We're planning next week's schedule. Meanwhile,
Life is passing us by. The sunset is happening. The bird is singing. The child is laughing. The flower is blooming. And we're missing it all because we're not here. Come back to now. Breathe. Feel your body. Notice your surroundings. Be here. This is where the magic happens. This is where your soul lives. This is where transformation occurs. Sixth, surround yourself with people who lift you up. You become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're spending time with negative, fearful, limited people, that energy will rub off on you. If you're spending time with positive, courageous, expansive people, that energy will inspire you. Choose wisely. Protect your energy. It's okay to outgrow friendships. It's okay to distance yourself from family members who bring you down. It's okay to prioritize your growth and your well-being. This doesn't mean you stop loving people. It just means you love yourself enough to not allow their negativity to dim your light. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without being in constant contact. You can honor the role they played in your life while acknowledging that you're moving in different directions now. And as you let go of relationships that no longer serve you, you create space for new relationships that align with who you're becoming. You'll attract people who are on the same wavelength, who are also growing, who are also awakening, who are also committed to living authentically. These soul connections are incredibly powerful and supportive. Seventh, take care of your body. Your body is the temple that houses your soul. It's the vehicle through which you experience this physical reality. Treat it with respect. Feed it nourishing food. Give it regular movement. Allow it adequate rest. Listen to what it needs. Your body is always communicating with you. Pain is a message. Fatigue is a message. Illness is a message. Instead of fighting against your body or ignoring its signals, work with it, partner with it, honor it. When you take care of your physical health, everything else improves. Your mental clarity increases. Your emotional stability strengthens. Your spiritual connection deepens. You have more energy to pursue your dreams. You have more capacity to serve others. You have more vitality to enjoy life. Eighth, develop a spiritual practice. This doesn't mean you have to join a religion or follow a specific doctrine. It simply means creating regular time and space to connect with your soul, with Source, with the infinite intelligence that creates and sustains all life. This might look like meditation, prayer, time in nature, journaling, yoga, or any other practice that helps you quiet your mind and tune into your inner wisdom. Consistency is more important than duration. Even just 5 or 10 minutes a day of quiet contemplation can transform your life. In those moments of stillness, you remember who you are. You reconnect with your truth. You receive guidance. You find peace. You access clarity. You restore your energy. Make this a non-negotiable part of your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth. Ninth, live with intention. Stop sleepwalking through life. Start making conscious choices. Before you say yes to something, ask yourself, does this align with my values? Does this support my growth? Does this bring me joy? Does this contribute to my purpose? Learn to say no to things that don't serve you, even if they're good things, even if other people want you to do them. Your time and energy are finite. Spend them wisely. Set clear intentions for how you want to show up in the world. How do you want to treat people? What kind of energy do you want to bring into your interactions? What legacy do you want to leave? When you live with intention, every action becomes meaningful. Every moment becomes sacred. Every day becomes an opportunity to create the life you truly want. 10th, embrace uncertainty. Life is unpredictable. Things change. Plans fall apart. Unexpected things happen. And that's okay. In fact, that's more than okay. That's where the growth happens. That's where the magic happens. That's where life happens. When you try to control everything, when you need everything to be certain and secure before you move forward, you miss out on so much possibility. The universe cannot deliver anything new to you if you're clinging tightly to what is. You have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to step into the unknown. You have to be willing to trust that even though you can't see the whole staircase, the next step will appear when you need it. Faith isn't about knowing what's going to happen. Faith is about trusting that whatever happens, you'll be okay. You'll handle it. You'll grow from it. You'll find your way. Your soul is ready for this. Your soul is ready to stop playing small. Your soul is ready to stop hiding. Your soul is ready to stop pretending. Your soul is ready to shine. Your soul is ready to love without holding back. Your soul is ready to create without fearing failure. Your soul is ready to live without waiting for permission.
You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to follow your dreams. You don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. You are already enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. The only person who needs to believe in you is you. And I know it's not always easy. I know there will be days when you doubt yourself, days when you feel like giving up, days when the old patterns and fears come rushing back. That's normal. That's part of the process. Growth isn't linear. It's not a straight line from where you are to where you want to be. It's a spiral. Sometimes you'll feel like you're going backward, like you're revisiting old issues, like you're not making progress, but you are. Each time you come around to a familiar challenge, you're coming to it from a higher level of consciousness. You're seeing it differently. You're responding to it differently. You're learning something new. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself. You're doing the best you can with what you know in this moment. And as you learn more, as you grow more, as you remember more of who you truly are, you'll do better. That's all any of us can do. Just keep showing up. Keep trying. Keep choosing love over fear. Keep choosing growth over comfort. Keep choosing truth over pretense. And remember, you're not alone in this. You might feel alone sometimes. You might feel like nobody understands what you're going through, but you're part of something much bigger than yourself. You're part of a collective awakening that's happening all over the world. Millions of people are waking up right now. Millions of people are questioning the old ways. Millions of people are choosing to live more consciously, more authentically, more lovingly. You're part of this movement. And every time you choose to be more you, every time you choose to live from your soul instead of from your fear, you contribute to the collective awakening. You make it easier for others to do the same. You become a light that shows others the way. You become an example of what's possible. You become a catalyst for change. This is your calling. This is why your soul brought you here. This is why these words found you at exactly the right time. Because your soul is ready. Your soul is ready to step into your power. Your soul is ready to claim your birthright as a divine, creative, infinite being. Your soul is ready to stop settling for mediocrity and start creating magnificence. What you do next is up to you. You can hear these words and go back to your old life, your old patterns, your old ways of being, or you can choose to act. You can choose to take one small step today toward the life your soul is calling you to live. It doesn't have to be a huge step. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as deciding to think one new thought, to try one new behavior, to take one small risk. Maybe you finally have that conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe you sign up for that class you've been curious about. Maybe you start that creative project you've been dreaming of. Maybe you end that relationship that's been draining you. Maybe you apply for that job that excites you. Maybe you book that trip you've been wanting to take. Maybe you simply sit in silence for 10 minutes and listen to what your soul has to say. Whatever it is, do something. Take action. Because inspiration without action is just entertainment. Information without implementation is just theory. You can know all the spiritual truths in the world, but if you don't apply them, if you don't live them, they're worthless. Your soul doesn't want you to just understand these concepts intellectually. Your soul wants you to embody them. Your soul wants you to become them. Your soul wants you to live them. And when you do, when you start living from your soul instead of from your fear, everything changes. Your relationships become more authentic and fulfilling. Your work becomes more meaningful and rewarding. Your health improves. Your energy increases. Your joy expands. Your life becomes an expression of who you truly are rather than a performance of who you think you should be. You start to experience synchronicities. You start to notice that when you need something, it appears. When you need an answer, it comes. When you need help, someone shows up. The universe starts to support you in ways that seem miraculous, but are actually just the natural result of being aligned with your soul, with Source, with the flow of life. You start to feel a sense of peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. You can be peaceful even when things around you are chaotic. You can be joyful even when challenges arise. You can be loving even when others are fearful, because you're rooted in something deeper than the surface level of life. You're rooted in your soul. You're rooted in truth. You're rooted in the eternal, unchanging essence of who you are. This is the gift that awaits you. This is what's on the other side of the awakening. This is what your soul has been calling you toward all along. And now, in this moment, the call is getting louder. The pull is getting stronger. The time is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when circumstances are perfect. Now, your soul is ready. The question is, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to trust? Are you willing to take the leap? Are you willing to let go of the familiar and step into the unknown? Are you willing to release who you've been to become who you're meant to be? I believe you are. I believe that's why you're here. I believe your soul orchestrated this moment. I believe you're ready for the next chapter. Even if you don't feel ready, even if you're scared, even if you don't know how it's all going to work out, your soul knows. Your soul has always known. Your soul has been patiently waiting for this moment when you would finally be ready to hear its whispers, to heed its call, to follow its guidance. So take a breath, feel into your body. Notice what you're feeling right now. Is there excitement? Is there fear? Is there resistance? Is there hope? Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. Allow it. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Just notice it. Because awareness is the first step to transformation. And then, when you're ready, make a decision. Decide that you're going to start listening to your soul. Decide that you're going to start honoring your truth. Decide that you're going to start living authentically. Decide that you're going to start creating the life you came here to live. It's just a decision, a simple choice, but it's the most important choice you'll ever make. Because from that decision, everything else flows. From that decision, your whole life begins to reorganize itself. From that decision, you activate forces and energies and possibilities that have been dormant, waiting for you to claim them. From that decision, you become a conscious creator rather than an unconscious reactor. You are so much more powerful than you realize. You are so much more capable than you believe. You are so much more magnificent than you've been taught. And it's time for you to remember this. It's time for you to reclaim this. It's time for you to embody this. Your soul is ready. This message found you because your soul is ready. And now it's time for you to step forward, to rise up, to shine your light, to be who you came here to be. The world needs you. The world needs your unique gifts. The world needs your authentic expression. The world needs you to stop playing small and start being great. Not great in the sense of being better than others. Great in the sense of being fully yourself, fully alive, fully awake, fully present, fully engaged with this beautiful, mysterious, sacred experience called life. That's the greatness your soul is calling you to. That's the magnificence that's your birthright. That's the truth of who you are. And so I want to leave you with this. You are exactly where you need to be. Everything that's happened in your life has led you to this moment. Everything you've experienced, everything you've learned, everything you've overcome, it's all been preparing you. You are ready. Your soul is ready. And the universe is ready to support you in ways you can't even begin to fathom. All you have to do is say yes. Say yes to yourself. Say yes to your soul. Say yes to your truth. Say yes to your life. Say yes to love. Say yes to growth. Say yes to possibility. Say yes to miracles. Just say yes. And then watch what happens. Watch how your life begins to transform. Watch how doors begin to open. Watch how your path begins to illuminate. Watch how everything you need begins to appear. This is not the end. This is the beginning. This is your awakening. This is your invitation. This is your moment. Your soul is ready. Are you?